Hi everyone. We're gonna get started. Hi, come on in. Just getting started. I'm Chris Rakenna. I'm the organizer for Austin Software Engineers and App Developers and the Austin New Technology Meetup Group, as well as Austin Developer Community. Actually, I have Howard here as co-organizer for Austin Developer Community as well. Thanks for the support from all these groups. We have partnered with Trilogy to put on this free event for y'all and hope that you enjoy it. We hope to see you at future meetups, so just keep an eye on Meetup or on your email for updates on future events. But we'll have an Austin New Technology event coming up on March 26th that will feature a bunch of startups in case you're interested in the startup world. And with that, I would like to hand it over to Trilogy Education. Thank you.
Hey everyone, welcome. I'm really happy to see all of you tonight. My name is Sean Fleming. I'm the Student Success Manager for the Coding Bootcamp at the University of Texas. I've been working there for a year, managing that program. I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about our program tonight, as well as Caitlin. This is a brief overview of what we're going to be talking about. I won't read it to you. I'll let you do that yourself as we go through it. We'll give Caitlin a little introduction here, and then we'll begin.
Thanks, Sean. So my name is Caitlin Raker. I've been with the Coding Bootcamp for about 2.5 years now, and I work on the Career Services team. And so a little bit later, we're going to talk about the career services that the bootcamp offers, and we'll get really into the nitty-gritty. But if we're talking and I'm asking you about your career passions and what brought you here and what are you looking for, that's because that's my background. That's where I come from. Because I'm always really interested in what people are hoping to do with this and how they're looking to either change their careers or upskill or whatever it is that brought you in the room tonight. So that's my background, and let's go ahead and get started.
Cool.
I think it's
So we're going to have a Q&A at the end, so if you have questions, please remember them and know that we're going to address them at the end.
yes.
So, around the world, a massive skill gap exists in which millions of job openings are left unfulfilled. Boot camps began really around 2012. There was a need for web developers, a massive need, and Trilogy was one of the first boot camps to really try to fill that gap. Some of the companies that we work with are, excuse me.
So, thinking about the digital skills gap, one of the things that has become true is that it's not just your standard software companies that need developers and individuals with technology skills. It's companies you wouldn't even think about, like John Deere, right? They automate a lot of processes for their farmers. Domino's, most of their work now is done through online ordering, right? Anybody remember the days where you used to have to call the pizza place to place an order? How many of you have actually called the pizza place in the last 5 years? It's in online, right? They got the little tracker. We can see your pizza's going in the oven. Now it's in the car. They had developers build all of that. And Home Depot, a home supply store, you wouldn't think that they would need developers. We actually have somebody in the room tonight, you'll hear from him a little bit later, who is a developer at Home Depot. So Home Depot also needs lots and lots of technical skills. So all companies need tech skills at this point, and that's why this digital skills gap has become so large in the last almost 10 years, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as I said, there's a massive need for web developers. In the US alone, 1.4 million software development jobs are being unfilled, right, by this massive need, and boot camps are there to try to fill the gap. 60%, this is yours, I think.
Sure.
Yeah?
I'll speak to
Yeah.
So one of the things that we hear, and one of the reasons that boot camps have popped up and have been successful for the past 8 years, is that companies, beyond just saying, okay, we have new jobs that didn't exist 8 years ago, so we need people with those skills, it's also the case that people need retraining throughout their careers. Gone are the days where you could get a bachelor's degree, go to work for one company for the rest of your life, and never learn another thing. That just doesn't exist anymore, right? We move jobs a lot, or our jobs change, and in order for us to stay on the cutting edge, in order for us to remain relevant in our jobs, I know that's a hard thing to think about, but that's the reality, is we've got to upskill. And so that's also part of what boot camps are doing, is people who say, well, I have this skill set, but there's actually, I've been out of school for 20 years, there are new technologies out there, and I need to learn them so that I can continue moving forward in my career. So that's another big part of the digital skills gap, are the new skills people need to keep creating. And what is out there now is going to be different 5 years from now. So there will be another, people will need another round of upskilling at different points in their career. So we talked about the skills gap. So just looking at the numbers, there's almost 2.3 million open jobs related to web development just across the US. In Austin alone, almost 13,000 positions open related to web development. Huge, right? There is a massive market, and like Sean said, these positions are going unfilled because literally people with computer science degrees, there are not enough of them graduating every year to fill the demand that employers have. So, just a few companies that are hiring in Austin, you might recognize, your Googles and your Apples, Whole Foods, BigCommerce is a big one, Unity, all kinds of companies that are almost always hiring for web developers. So the market demand is there, and this essentially creates, if anybody has studied economics or knows a little bit about it, it creates a supply and a demand problem, right? I think, pop to the next slide. That's the basic problem. The supply is low, the demand is high. This is where boot camps come in and fill the space. So that's what Trilogy and the boot camp at UT Austin are doing, is to try to fill that space with people just like you all who have always said, speaking to Quinn earlier, and I said, what brought you in tonight? And he said, well, I've always wanted to do this, but I didn't know if I could make it happen. And boot camps are here to help make it happen for people who have always wanted to make it happen.
So, again, how do boot camps fill this gap? So, as I said, in 2012, this is when the need was identified, and in 2015, Trilogy was founded, and the very first university that we partnered with was Rutgers. UT Austin was actually the third university that we partnered with, and now we are a global company. We partner with universities all over America, in Canada, Mexico, England, Germany, South Africa, Australia. We partner with UC Berkeley, MIT, no, not MIT, I'm sorry, Harvard, UCF, Georgia Tech, University of Utah, all over the country. So we've grown tremendously since 2015. We have over 50 university partners across the globe. The boot camp model. So we have found that students who try to teach themselves these skills on their own end up meandering and drifting. They don't have the experienced instructor to guide them. They don't have the comprehensive curricula to learn from the beginning to the end. They don't get a lot of the personal attention that they need in this very difficult learning experience. There's a ton to learn, right? And it's not to say that someone can't do this on their own, but many students find it incredibly challenging and difficult, hence boot camps, the explosion of boot camps, right? With a boot camp, you get a guided instructor, curriculum, and a decent amount of support. In our program, we get a lot of support. So this is our model. You have 12 weeks full-time program, we have a 24-week part-time program, and we also have an online program. And we try to design this to cater to the needs of many different kinds of learners, from the I've never coded before in my life to someone who has a little more experience coming into the program. The curriculum is market-driven, so we are always analyzing what the needs of each particular market are. For example, we were one of the first boot camps when we launched to kind of delve into the realm of React. React wasn't quite as big as it was when we first launched. We were prescient enough to recognize that that was where the market was going, and so we added it to our curriculum, and now React is everywhere in Austin. And 3 years from now, who knows where it's going to be, but we are more agile than a university program, right? We can change directions a lot more quickly than a university. If you've ever worked at a university, love universities, not throwing anything on universities, they tend to, a lot of people need to sign off on things before you can make a change. We can make a change very quickly when we identify a need to, right? So we can change our curriculum to address the needs of students in a more quick fashion. So you also get career coaching from the wonderful career services team. So you get a ton of support in our program. So boot camps are growing fast. In 2019, it's estimated that 23,043 people graduated from a boot camp. And that is a 40%, 49% increase from 2018. So this is exploding, right? As evidenced by how many of you fought traffic to get here to listen to us speak to you tonight. Little did you know we'd have Eastside Pies though. And so, companies are hiring boot camp grads.
So a lot of times one of the things we hear about boot camps is, okay, but will I get hired? Is this seen as legit in the industry? Like who, is this really respected? Do people actually get jobs, right? The answer is yes. 80% of tech employers have hired a coding boot camp grad. And we're not just talking about, your low levels. We're talking, Facebook and Google and Amazon. I have personally worked with folks who have gone to all of those companies. And it depends on your background, depends on what you're going for and who you are and where you live and all of those things. But tech companies from the massive giants all the way down to your local software company, software startup, have hired boot camp grads. So because they've been around for about 8 years now, they are seen as a very real, very useful way to close that digital skills gap and meet the demand, their hiring needs. So this is just a snapshot, and I apologize if it's small, a snapshot of companies that have hired grads from our coding boot camp. So not all of these are in Austin, for example, Universal, but we do partner with the University in Florida. But you can see Capital One, IBM, Oracle in Austin has hired grads from the UT Austin Coding Bootcamp, EA Sports, Johnson & Johnson, Lockheed Martin, Royal Caribbean. Tons of companies have hired grads from our Coding Bootcamp. And this is just a snapshot, right? This obviously isn't all of them. These are just names that you might recognize. But we've had, like I said, from your local startup to your big companies are hiring these folks.
Yeah, I'm in communication with former students, and a former student reached out to me and told me they got a job at Urban Air. I don't know if any of you have kids, you know what Urban Air is, but it's like a trampoline place for kids. Everyone clearly needs a web developer, and he got a junior position at a child's trampoline company.
I love that.
Yeah. So boot camps now offer all of the skills that developers and companies are looking for. We offer data analytics, cybersecurity, UX, UI, digital marketing, and more. What does it take to become a web developer? So I'm going to talk a little bit about our program now in particular and what separates us a little bit from other boot camps. So maybe you should take this one over next.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that is important when thinking about a boot camp is that changing your career or upskilling or going for that next promotion is all possible when you come to a boot camp. But you've got to come with the right mindset. You've got to come with an open mind, a growth mindset, if any of you have heard that term, and be willing to learn and willing to put in the work. And I see Robbie nodding his head. He's currently in the program. He's graduating in April. So I see him nodding his head. We were just talking before this got started. It's called the boot camp for a reason. Although we do have models that fit your needs, Robbie works full-time and comes to the boot camp in the evenings and on weekends. That fits with his schedule, but it's still a lot of work, right? You can't just show up to class and kind of listen, yeah, got it. There's homework outside of class. There's studying to do. There are group projects. It's an intensive pace and it's challenging, but it is incredibly rewarding. If you decide this is what I want to do, this is what I'm passionate about, you can literally change your career, change your life in 6 months, 9 months, and it's phenomenal to see, and that's mainly the reason I do my job is because I get to work with people who are just changing their lives over and over again. It's really incredible.
So, there are lots of boot camps out there. Again, what separates our boot camp from other boot camps? Well, let's talk about ours because I can't speak for theirs. Phase 1, we teach foundational skills. The first phase equips you with fundamental concepts of web development covering HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, as well as command line fundamentals and API consumption. Phase 2, technical skills. You will learn the skills necessary to engineer a full-stack web application, working with servers, databases, and other back-end technologies and connecting them to the front end. Phase 3, performance skills. The last phase has a dual meaning in that you acquire skills to optimize your web applications for speed and efficiency, as well as prepare for the transition to a career in web development. This is another example, like React. region-specific skills. PHP started out as a simple language for personal homepage. Now it's a critical part of the internet as a whole. Here's where we dive in to teach you how it all comes together. So once you're done with our boot camp, these are many of the roles that you will be qualified for. I won't read them all to you, but full stack developer, back-end web developer, QA test engineer, web producer, technical business analyst. You will be employable in many different fields. Okay, coding bootcamp at UT Austin. This is where I got ahead of myself a little earlier, I apologize. This is where I wanted to go. So, our program. We offer an in-person program, a 12-week full-time program, right? That is Monday through Friday. It's 10 a.m. when class actually starts. Office hours are at 9:15, and it goes through to 2:30, and then we have office hours at the end of the class that last till 3. So basically 9:15 to 3, Monday through Friday. It's a very intense, very quick moving program. You have to be fully committed to the program to be successful, right? I tell our full-time students that, you know, if you have a wife and kids, tell them you'll see them in 3 months. You're married to the boot camp now. So, but that's what some people want. They want an intense, quick launch down the path, right? Some people need a slower route. They also need to work, right? Or they have families, so they choose the part-time program, which is 6 months. Usually meets 3 times a week, whether that's Monday, Wednesday, or Saturday, or Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday. Office hours begin at 5:45. Class begins at 6:30. Class ends at 9:30, and then another 30-minute session of office hours afterward. So this is a 6-month program. And it moves a little slower, still quite quick, especially if you have a job or a family, right? Quite fast. You should, again, be fully committed to this course as well. And then we have an online program, which is a 24-week program, which you basically attend remotely. So it's very similar to our part-time program in person, except that you're basically attending class from home, right? You will attend class at specific times, right? You're expected to be at class. It's just that your class is the window of your computer, right?
Okay. How many hours? I mean, per Saturday?
It's the same amount. It's the same amount as the part-time.
Okay.
Yeah. And when you get a certificate from the University of Texas, another thing that separates us from many of the other boot camps is we are affiliated with the university. University of Texas vets our program and stands by it. And when you graduate, when you meet the requirements for graduation, you get a UT certificate of completion, which is a valuable thing to have, especially when you're trying to separate yourself from someone else trying to get the same position. You have a UT certificate, I think that counts for a lot. So, what is the structure of the learning environment? So, we have discussion, lab work, and portfolio projects. Discussion is your basic direct instruction model, right? It's some guy like me standing up in front of the class, talking about these technologies, these languages, displaying them for you on the computer. And in this case, since we hire industry professionals to teach the classes, sharing their wisdom with you, right? Sharing their experience with you. It's not just a machine reading off a script. It's someone who works in the industry, who has experience working in the industry, who's teaching this class, right? And sharing their experiences and wisdom with you. Then we have lab work, which is really just another way of saying assignments, right? We have small in-class assignments, which are used to facilitate learning, right? To entrench some of those concepts into your mind. A lot of those are, you know, group work stuff. And then we have homework, of course. All of this is intended to facilitate and entrench the learning in you. And then portfolio projects. All of this culminates in portfolios, right? We have 3 different projects that you will complete in this program. And all of them, at the end, can be used in your portfolio if you wish, right? If you think that they're good enough and you put all of your heart and soul into them, which I know you will, you'll be using these to display to future employers and say, this is what I worked on in my boot camp and these are my skills. And you'll have that at the end because you worked on 3 projects, right? All of that, those portfolio projects are really important. I'm a big fan of project-based learning as a former educator, and these times in the course give you a moment to catch a breath, right? The course moves very fast, it's very rigorous. The projects are about a third of the way through, and you get a chance to slow down, take a breath, and work with the skills that you learned, right? Take a moment to like start using those skills to build something that you created with a team. It's pretty amazing. So projects are my favorite thing. In the boot camp, I attend every single project presentation because I love seeing what the students are working on. And you may not think of IT, maybe you do, you're here, as a creative field, but I tell you, some of our students create, where their minds go to create incredible apps and ideas and websites. It's truly inspiring to watch what students have in their brains that they try to create on the web. It's awesome, so I love it. Okay, individual learning. Every learner is different, right? And we try to help cater to every individual learner's needs. We try to help you in the way that you need. We offer a lot of support. We, of course, have amazing instructors who work in the industry. We have TAs. Most of them work in the industry as well, or they're former boot camp grads. So a lot of our TAs are former boot camp grads. They know the curriculum inside and out. They lived through it, and they know how to teach it back to you, help you out. We offer tutoring. In the full-time program, you get 2 hours of tutoring every week. In the part-time program, you get 1 hour of tutoring every week. That's at your kind of leisure. It's at home. It's virtual. So we offer a ton of support. And then, of course, our wonderful career services team. So we try to meet you where you're at as a learner. But having said that, transition. We really value collaborative learning. This myth of the lone computer hacker person living in a cave changing the world is a myth, right? The vast majority of IT is just like every other business. It's collaborative, right? You'll be working in a company with other people, working in groups, working on stuff together, sharing ideas, and we try to foster that in our program. We highly encourage collaborative learning, and we try to foster it as much as possible. We want you working in groups. We want you sharing your struggles with each other on homework, in class, and on Slack. Slack is a major communication tool that we use. You'll be struggling together in this, and you don't have to struggle alone. And we want you to work together, and we ask you to work together, and then we put you in groups, and you work on projects together. So I think one of the most valuable resources you get, other than our curriculum and our staff, is interactions with each other, right? The connections you're going to make in class could lead to a job at some point later on. And we really want to foster a community of learners in the classroom. So we respect the lone hacker, but we encourage you to work together. Okay, our Rockstar instructors. We brought a Rockstar instructor with us tonight. Bob is a former boot camp grad. He took our boot camp. He was in education. He was working in a school. He was a teacher. He was in administration as well. He has years of experience in education, and he decided he needed a change, so he took our boot camp. And he got a job. And he likes to tell this story. I like to repeat this to other students. It's one of my favorite stories. He likes to tell everyone of his students, now that he's an instructor, that he was the worst student in his class. That he was the person who didn't get anything. He was the one always asking for help. He didn't understand anything. He had to be dragged along to across the finish line. And now he works at Home Depot, teaching other people how to code, and then works for our boot camp on the side. And he's here tonight because he likes to give back because he believes in our program. We have a wonderful group of instructors who have experience in the industry and who are passionate about serving the needs of their students and passing on their knowledge. So I think that's another thing that you get from our program that maybe you get in others, I'm not sure, but you definitely get with us. Student success team. So the support that you get is varied, as I've said. I'm one of those people. I am your student success manager if you join us. I'm kind of, I support the instructional team. I support you and your learning. I kind of am a middle person between the the university and our program. I'm just kind of popping in and popping out all the time. I'm slacking students to see how they're doing. I'm helping them with any kind of problem they have. So I'm kind of like jack of all trades, master of none. I'm here to support you. We have our instructional team, of course. We have tutors. Again, like I mentioned, we have industry professionals who also like to give back and contribute to this effort to bring in good developers. One of my other favorite instructors, Tom, says that he does this, he does it for the money, of course. Everyone, likes to get a paycheck, but he says his goal in teaching, because he has a full-time job and a family, but he teaches at night, is he's seen a ton of bad developers in his career. He's seen a ton of bad developers, and he wants to be part of the reason why there are good developers. He wants to help create good developers, so that's why he contributes his valuable time to teaching in our program. He wants to make a bunch of good developers. And again, you keep seeing this community word. We really like to develop a community in our classroom. We really want you to, again, struggle together. You don't have to go, and it's challenging. If it wasn't challenging, why would you do it, right? If it wasn't challenging, you'd do it on your own. It's challenging, I'm not gonna lie to you. And you don't have to go through it alone. You have tons of support inside and outside the classroom, and we really try to make you aware of that. Okay, the most important lesson of all that we try to impart on you, other than, of course, the content itself, is that we teach you how to learn, how to teach yourself. We can't turn you into a master web developer in 3 months or 6 months. We can launch you pretty far down the path, right? We can make you employable, but you're still gonna have to continue learning when you leave. And 3 years down the line, you're gonna have to continue learning even more. As I said, React wasn't that big a deal 3 years ago, and now it's a big deal. All the developers 3 years ago who didn't know React had to teach themselves React, right? And then there'll be some new language that comes up, new skill that you have to teach yourself. That's the next important thing. You're entering a field, if you choose this, you're entering a field that is truly on the forefront of the lifelong learner model, right? You're gonna have to continue learning, and that's pretty exciting if you think about it, right? This is not a boring, this is the way we've always done it kind of profession, right? It's constantly evolving, constantly changing. So when you leave our program, we teach you how to solve your own problems. We teach you how to find your own answers, right? It's hard to do that without any experience at first. It's really hard to teach yourself these skills without any experience. But once you go through the boot camp and you have a good foundation, you also learn how to acquire those skills yourself later on. How do I teach myself this new language? Where do I go for answers? Who do I reach out to help me? So that's one of our biggest goals. How do we teach you to learn after you leave us? Okay. I believe this is yours.
This is. Thank you, Sean. So many of you may be sitting there thinking, this is great, I want to do it, but how many of you are thinking, okay, but I'm really nervous about the job search, trying to get a job? That scares me a little bit. Yeah, if you raise your hand, thank you for being honest. I know it's hard to be honest and vulnerable with that. And that is a really big thing that prevents people from choosing to make this leap, right? In a lot of ways, it is a leap of faith, because when you start, you can't see the end. You don't know what that job is going to be at the end of this process, and that's hard, right? But the Career Services team is here to help you through all of that. So Sean has referenced the Career Services team a couple of times. We're gonna get into the details of that right now. So the Career Services team starts with this idea of, our goal is for every single graduate to be employer ready. Like Sean has been talking about, you are employable, and you have the skills you need, as well as the resume, the portfolio, all the materials you need to literally just hit apply on Indeed, to just go out there and start applying. But if any of you have done a job search recently, you know that's not enough. You can't just hit apply on 10 different applications and think, well, something will happen. They'll call me, I'll get the job. You've got to be competitive, because there are a lot of people out there looking for jobs. I'm currently hiring for some roles on my team. I keep looking through the resumes every day. Tons of people are applying, no experience, no connection, nothing. I'm just skipping right past them, right? because, I mean, this morning it took me 6 minutes to look at 20 resumes. That made me laugh because, you know, that's, people put a lot of time into that, but but they weren't competitive. They were not competitive resumes. So on the career services team, we work to make you employer competitive, which means we help you tailor your materials. We help you know where to network, how to follow up, how to interview, all of those pieces. So, wrong button. This isn't my computer. So we're going to help you do all of that, but career services doesn't do it for you. We are a team where we empower you. So I like to think about career services as a personal trainer. We are going to tell you, so if you come to your personal trainer and say, I want to build 10 pounds of muscle, your personal trainer will tell you exactly what exercises to do, how many reps to do, how many days of the week to do them to build 10 pounds of muscle. But the personal trainer can't do it for you, right? They cannot pick up the weights and build the muscle. So we are like your personal trainer. We have all kinds of expertise, knowledge, strategy, resources, and we will literally give you a tailored plan. You get individualized coaching where we will sit down with you and say, okay, what is your goal? Okay, here's what you can do to meet that goal, but then it's up to you to take the ball and run with it. So we will give you everything you need. You've just got to, get yourself across that finish line. So we will empower you. And the other reason that we like to do that is because I always say, we're in business to put ourselves out of business. We don't want you to need us next time you want to look for a new job. So you get a job, 5 years later, you're ready to look for a new job. We want you to know and remember all of the skills that you learned when you worked with us so that you can then do it on your own the next time. So we're here to help you, but not to do it for you. So your career services team is comprised of 2 people who help you with individualized support. There is a profile coach, and what that means is that's somebody who will read through all of your written materials as many times as you'd like until they are employer competitive. And the standards that we have, that we say this is what makes you employer competitive, come directly from employers in the industry. So like Sean referenced with our curriculum, the same thing happens with our career services, is we don't just sit around and decide, you know what, I think resumes should include this, this, and this. We actually go out and talk to all of our employer partners, and they set the standards. They say, these are the things that we're looking for, and then that team comes to my team and says, here's what the industry is looking for, so then your profile coach is going to give you that exact feedback. And so we don't just say, do it this way because we said so, it's because this is what employers are looking for. And then your career director is the one who will sit with you, it's all virtual, but sit with you on Zoom or on the phone and literally talk through your individual strategy. So what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What are your goals? And then we map out a personalized plan for all of that. So I just talked about the career coaching, the material feedback, that's unlimited. You can submit your materials to your profile coach 5 times, you can submit it 15 times, and they will continue to give you feedback until you feel like this is the exact resume that I want, my portfolio is perfect. So that's a really nice service. We do more than that though. We do mock interviews, both technical and behavioral. So behavioral is the tell me about yourself, tell me about a time when, interviews that probably most of you all have had. It may have been a minute since you had an interview like that, but most of us have had those interviews. We also offer technical interview prep with subject matter experts. That's the one that people are usually really interested in because most folks haven't gone through a technical web development interview yet, and that's scary. That's rightfully scary. But we've got experts on staff to help you work through those interviews.
Now, does that include a whiteboard?
Yes, it includes whiteboarding. Yeah. We also have workshops. I just saw a stat that in 2019 we ran an average of 4.9 workshops per week or something like that. So we offer a workshop. I see Robbie nodding his head because he can see the schedule. We offer a workshop almost every day of the week on a multitude of topics. We offer workshops on how to become employer ready. We offer networking. We offer interview workshops. We also offer things like the age bias in the job search. It's a real thing. How do I manage it? Imposter syndrome. I don't know if any of you have heard that phrase before, but that's also a real thing where you think, I can't do it. I'm not ready. I shouldn't be here. I'm a fraud. They're going to find out. That's a big thing that comes up in boot camps. We run workshops to talk about it. We have workshops on all kinds of topics. We record them, put them on a YouTube channel. So if you can't go to a live workshop, you can watch it at 2 a.m. Thursday morning when you're tired of doing your homework and you want to do something else. So they're available for you. We also do tech talks. We do them virtually, which means you can attend any of the tech talks that we offer. We also record those and put them on YouTube. That's where we bring in employers in the industry to come talk on very specific topics. So they will talk about, we've got things focused on design work, front-end folks who want to focus on design. But we also, I have had developers come talk about like meditation and development and how that helps them become better developers. I mean, all kinds of topics from people who work in the industry. These are folks who you can connect with on LinkedIn, you can reach out to, you can do informational interviews with them, you can get to know them. Demo days, that is where you literally come to our space. You set up, this is after you graduate, you set up your computer, it's like a science fair. You present your projects, employers come and listen to your project presentations. This is your opportunity to network, to meet folks in the community, and just practice how to talk about your work. One of the skills that people always say they want more practice with is, how do I talk about my work? When I'm sitting in an interview and somebody says, tell me about this project, what did you build, why did you build it? That's not a skill that most people have naturally. Demo Day gives you an opportunity to speak to employers, practice that without there being a job on the line. You're not in an interview, you're not as nervous, you get to practice, and it's also a networking opportunity. You connect with folks on LinkedIn, and you can get the ball rolling with your job search. And then one of the things that we do on the career services team as well, which the academic team does this too, we do a lot of surveys, and sometimes students groan about them. But what we do it for is so that we can see how are we doing, and if we're not meeting your expectations, we're not doing what you need, we're not providing something specific, we read those surveys and then we come to you and we say, hey, I saw that you said you weren't totally satisfied, you needed more of this. Today I saw somebody saying, I want more technical interview help. I had an answer for him. Great, I've got a technical interview workshop for you. Here you go, sign up for it. So we do surveys so that we can constantly take a pulse check and make sure that we're providing you what you need. Okay, with that, I am going to stop talking and I'm actually going to hand it over to our rockstar instructor, Bob, whom we have pointed at many times tonight. So Bob, welcome up.
Okay, so my name is Bob Deckard, and obviously I work for the Home Depot. I know there's a couple Aggies in here, and it's okay to wear this color orange. All right, this is not burnt orange, so it's totally fine. And actually, we're a UT coding boot camp anyway, so it's fine. Don't worry about it. Plus, if you look, my ring doesn't have any. You know what I'm talking about. So, I started out in college, did horrible, joined the Army, got out of the Army, decided I wanted to be a veterinarian, so I worked at an animal hospital for about 8 years while I was going through school. Got a zoology degree, decided I didn't want to go to vet school. Found out you can't do much with a zoology degree besides run a zoo. There's not many zoos around, so I went into education. I taught science for 14 years. The way to move up in education is to get more education and get more responsibility. So I got my master's online from the University of Phoenix, #Phoenix, and I became an administrator. I worked as an administrator, an assistant principal at Aikens High School in South Austin for about 2 years. While I was doing that, I was in charge of the STEM Academy, science, technology, engineering, and math, and so I kind of started getting exposed to a more engineering side of science than I had been exposed to before. A friend of mine was teaching, and I was in charge of, a summer coding camp for high schoolers where she taught Python. And I would go observe this camp, and the computer science just clicked in my brain, and I was like, this is what I need to be doing. So I thought I would take my experience in education and try to get a computer science degree and then write software for education. I looked around for online programs. I looked at Texas State. I actually changed my job. I left that high school and I got a job working as the director of education for Kyle Correctional Facility in Kyle. Like literally I was in prison as a principal so that I could have hours where I could go to Texas State. Texas State didn't pan out. They wanted me to start all over again. Freshman year, freshman English 1-on-1. I'm like, yo, I've got a master's. It's whatever. I tried Arizona State University online. Same thing. They wanted it all. And I was like, out of desperation, I'm like, UT online computer science, and UT Coding Boot Camp pops up. I applied for the job, or I applied for the, entrance for the program. I got into it, and oh my gosh, It was overwhelming. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. It was really, really tough. I spent nights sitting there in class staring at a blinking cursor, and I feel like everybody else was just like hacking the mainframe, and I'm the one that's going like, what is going on? How do all these people know it? Like, I'm gonna have to go back to prison. I don't know what's going on. Right. So eventually I started asking the TAs for help. I started asking my classmates for help, and pretty soon I wasn't the worst one anymore. I was never the best one. It was really tough for me to get the feeling of not being that number one student, the teacher's pet, etc. But it took work. So I couldn't bring any kind of outside electronics into my prison job with me. So every day at lunch, I would go out in my car and sweat, and I'd host a little Wi-Fi thing on my phone, and I'd code on my computer for an hour at lunch every day to try to keep up. I had to give up a couple mornings of the gym, and I'd wake up at about 4 in the morning, and I would code so that I could keep up with everything. Tuesdays and Thursdays, and every Saturday for 24 weeks. Oh my gosh, wow, that was a long time. 24 weeks. It was really tough, y'all. Lost sleep, lost a little bit of my gains from the gym, but it was totally worth it. I gained a lot of friends also, but before I talk about what some of the friendships that I created in the boot camp did for me and for my friends, I'm going to talk about career services. So once I finished the boot camp, I really kind of had this idea that people were going to be lining up waiting to give me a contract for $80,000 a year. The line started right here, but nobody was in it. So what the heck, right? Caitlin was my career services manager. We talked on the phone once a week, right? I was running a farm on the prison so we could donate food to Hays County Food Bank, and so I'd call her.
Be on the side of the road.
Yeah, I'd pull over with a load of watermelons in the back of my car, and I'd talk to her on the phone. And she coached me on LinkedIn, on resume, on how to talk, how to apply for stuff. I got to where I was spending like half an hour for every single application because I wanted it to be custom made for the people I was trying to hire with, and I got a lot of nibbles. About that time, about 3 months after I graduated, the prison job changed to where I was going to be in charge of 2 prisons. I had to take a step back from applying, so it went about 8 months, and I really didn't do anything at all. But the advice that she gave me had my LinkedIn just like on fire. So I didn't look. I'm chill. I've got chills. I'm not even kidding. I've got chills. That's how amazing this story is. I didn't even ask for this job at the Home Depot. A recruiter from the Home Depot saw my LinkedIn, saw how Trilogy and UT and everybody helped me get it together, and was like, "Hey, I see you have an education background. We want to start a boot camp inside Home Depot, and we see that you also know coding, and we see you went to a coding boot camp. Do you think you could help us out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, right." I thought it was like a lie. Like, when do I have to put in my credit card information? When are you going to scam me? But it turned out it was real. In like less than a month, put in my 2 weeks notice at the prison. That was really, really tough to do. But now what I get to do is I get to take somebody who's working in the lumber aisle, and I get to teach them how to be a software engineer. And in 16 weeks, because we go full-time at my daytime job, in 16 weeks I take somebody from the lumber aisle, put them on a software engineering team, totally change their life. They're no longer working shift work. They're tripling their salary. Their work-life balance is way better. They're not having to lift stuff and carry stuff, right? My job as a software engineer teacher, I get to teach adults, not people who are wearing white and might kill me. And that was when I was at the high school, actually. The prison was way safer. So truly, 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 me deciding to go through UT Coding Boot Camp absolutely changed my life. And I'll say this too, so over other boot camps, the fact that we get a certificate from the University of Texas really, really helps. I might not have gotten looked at if it wasn't for that. And I'm not going to throw shade on any other boot camp, but I can say how great ours is. And like full disclosure, I teach now for it, right? So I love giving back, and I love this program so much. I'm like, I'm going to be a TA, and then I'm going to be a teacher. And I'll tell you now, I'm ready for the rest part. Am I talking too much?
No, you're doing great.
So Caitlin mentioned that Home Depot hires boot camp grads, right? As soon as I got done, there was another guy that graduated with me. He got a job at the same time as I did. I was able to recommend one of my other classmates for a job. She got the job, and then I called my buddy that I worked with very, very much when I was in the boot camp, and he's working with me now and has a job. And then after that, a guy didn't even tell me he was trying to hire. I would have recommended him. He got a job. So that's 5 boot camp grads in the 2 years since I've been at the Home Depot that we've hired. What I feel like we get when we hire a boot camp grad is we get somebody who is current with industry standards. When we get somebody from a CS degree, and I'm not throwing shade on a CS degree, but unless you've taken some electives that's gonna get you some current skills, you're learning 5, 10, 15-year-old technology, right? Does technology hold still? Raise your hand if you think technology holds still. Nope, it never does. Since I've been a React developer, it's had 3 major changes. And I've only been doing it 2 years. So, can this program change your life? Can a coding boot camp change your life? Absolutely. Does Trilogy and UT give you the support to make sure that those life changes are gonna occur? I 100% believe they do. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you so much, Bob.
You're welcome.
That was awesome. So, now we're coming towards the end of our presentation, and we promised you a little surprise for attending tonight, other than Eastside Pies and free soda. In the near future, I'm not sure what the exact time frame is. It says in
I think if you just fill out the form.
form with in a I don't know if it's tonight or like by the weekend. Actually, I apologize for not knowing exactly. This is the one piece of information I didn't have. But soon, if you sign up and you mention that you attended this this information session, you can get a $500 scholarship to sign up for the boot camp. We're gonna email all of this information to you, so don't, if you wanna take a picture,
Okay.
that's fine. But we're also gonna email every single one of you this information. So we'd love to encourage you to join us, and we wanna offer this incentive. If you want to sign up soon, there's $500 off for you, so please consider. I really wanna thank Chris and Bob and Caitlin for being here, and now I'd like to open it up to questions. If you have some questions, I'd love to answer them for you. Yes, sir.
How is this different than the data science big camp?
Well, I mean, other than the technologies, it's very similar in structure. So it's very similar. We don't offer a full-time program in data. Actually, the only full-time program we offer, I believe, is in Full Stack Flex. But in terms of time frame and how the class is structured, it's very similar. It's going to be a 6-month course. It's going to be 3 times a week, during the week and the evening. Sorry, go ahead.
Maybe I should say that differently. How does this what are the crossovers between this camp and the data science?
Well, I don't manage data science, so I can't answer that. This is mostly for the Full Stack Flex program. I don't manage any of the data. So there's 2 of me at UT, student success managers. Coding is the biggest thing we do. So we just have me do coding, and then my colleague, he does data science and all of that. So I don't want to give you bad information. I don't want to speak.
I will say, so I work with like all kinds of students on the career services side. Very little overlap. There is some web development in the data program. I will say it's more data analytics than data science, just because most data scientists need a PhD or a master's, so it's more data analytics. Some web development, but it's mainly focused on, we teach Python, we teach Tableau, those kinds of technologies.
Okay.
Before we jump to another question, we have just a quick announcement here.
Okay, I'm Walter. Chris and I are co-organizers, but he gets the prize for getting this one going. I'm president of the Austin developer community, and we're basically working with these people. I'm local in Austin here. We try to hook up people like you're out there, trying to hook up people with getting jobs, education, and so forth. This idea of going to UT, getting the UT emblem on there is golden, okay? I know a lot of people in Macomb School of Management, and it's the golden highway. But we're trying to connect people that are very much like these people come out of here, getting connected up with companies. There's a lot of gold out there that hasn't been mined yet, and that's our whole mission, and I'm focused at Austin, and we have the Austin Developer Communities on Facebook, and my name is Walter, and that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for showing.
If
Thank
you're
you,
really
Walter.
interested in getting into the industry, definitely, come through the boot camp, and then you got a network. Austin developer community right here.
Yeah.
Thanks, Walter.
Okay.
Okay, back to Q&A, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, questions? Any
Does,
questions?
the True School accept the grant from WIOA, grant from Texas Workforce Commission?
What was your question? I'm sorry.
The True School accept WIOA grant from Texas Workforce Commission?
I don't know, actually. I don't really deal with Yeah.
An admissions advisor would be able to tell
Yeah.
you, so if you fill out the form, an admissions advisor will call you and they will know 100%.
Yeah,
whether or
I'm
not
sorry, I
you're-
apologize. I don't really, deal with the financial element. I apologize.
Basically, it's a federal grant provided by the federal government that to allow someone to retrain.
Mhm.
I don't know. Yeah, you should
Yeah.
call. Yeah,
The
absolutely.
admissions would know 100%.
That's a good question.
Yeah, we don't wanna mislead you.
So is there a phone number we can reach them directly?
Yeah, so you can fill out the form, or if you literally Google UT Austin Coding Bootcamp, the webpage will come up and there will be information about how to get in touch with admissions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
In terms of getting high, so what, do you have any number or data show that percentage of getting high after the boot camp?
The percentage of folks who get hired after the boot camp? It's a really great question. It comes up every single time we talk to folks. We don't publish that number, and I'll tell you why. It's not helpful with when people think, okay, if I tell you X percent of people get hired, you think, well, if I just go to the boot camp, I'm gonna be in that X percent. That's very misleading because the X percent of people who get hired, they did the work, right? They did the work in class, they did the work for their job search. Job search is another mini boot camp in and of itself to get hired. And so our feeling with the company is that a number actually doesn't mean anything. What I will tell you is the people who want to get a new job are successful. And there are people who come and they decide, you know what, this isn't for me, or I don't want to put in the work. I'm not going to take the time. I'm not going to become employer competitive, and those people are not successful. So we don't have stats to give you, but we have all of the services, and if you come to us and say, this is what I want, we will help you achieve it. Thanks. Thanks for that question. Who else?
How big are the classes?
Good question.
They can range, so the full-time class can go up to 40 students. The part-time class goes up to 30 generally. We do fill up most of the classes, but occasionally we don't, and sometimes we have, a 22-person class.
How often do they rotate or start?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we typically, we're launching, every quarter for sure. So we have 4 classes going right now. We're going to launch again in March. We're going to launch 2 more in April. We tend to have 4 to 7 classes running almost all the time. So our next full-time launch is in March, and then 2 part-times in April. So.
March, what date?
I believe the full-time launch is March 9th.
I can
March
look it
9th.
up.
That's the earliest.
Yeah, that's the earliest class. It's the full-time program, 3 months, 5 days a week.
Okay.
The next part-time launch is the end of April, and then we're launching 2 classes at the end of April. So.
Okay. Say, do you have a business card you can pass out to someone?
I don't have a business card. I don't know. I'm not a business card kind of person. I'm a LinkedIn kind of
I was
person.
gonna say we can connect on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I'd love for you to connect with me on LinkedIn, but I don't carry a business card. I never have. I don't know why. I guess that makes me, I don't know, new school, old school. I'm not really sure. Not really sure. Sorry about that, but I'll gladly connect with you on LinkedIn. Yes, sir.
You said the online version, that's interactive, so it's a live interactivity where all students are interactive online?
Yes, sir.
One's
Yeah,
on?
so
Okay,
it's going to be basically, again, a remote kind of instruction model. So you're going to have an instructor and you're going to have TAs, and they're going to be, remote, just like the entire student body, and you're basically going to interact online. So you're going to be sharing questions and watching the lecture unfold, and then be given tasks to do, and you collaborate. But instead of collaborating with like you and I in person, you'll be collaborating via Slack. We use Slack quite a lot as a collaboration tool. So.
Where are the classes held?
The classes, the in-person
Yeah.
classes, they happen at UT at the Thompson Center. I don't know if you're familiar with the campus. We're right across from the Bubble. I don't know if you guys know where the Bubble is on Red River. We're right across the street from that, so that's where the building is. Free parking for the part-time class at night. If you know anything
Free
about
parking.
UT, you know free parking is super
It is.
choice. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
So your Saturday, so part-time, it's either Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and then Saturday.
Correct.
So on Saturdays, what times are they, and are you now combining both classes for that Saturday?
That's a great question.
I don't know
Yes.
just 1,000 number, but I'm not just.
So we usually
I know
launch,
Just put it in
we
your
usually
phone.
launch cohorts, right? A cohort will have 2 classes generally. So you'll have one cohort will have a Monday, Wednesday, Saturday component, and then a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday component. We do combine on Saturdays. We combine. It's a really great way for the students to get to know each other as well. So they get to mix instructors. So the instructors tend to rotate each Saturday. So they get a different instructor with different experiences and different strengths. that they get to interact with. So yeah, so you get kind of one big classroom on a Saturday, and then you get your smaller sized classroom on over the weekend.
What are the hours on Saturday?
Saturday is, so office hours begin at 9:15, class begins at 10. You get about a 45-minute break around noon. Class ends at 2:30, and then we have another 30-minute session of office hours. Every single class. Office hours are held every single class, before and after class. So you get, if you have the opportunity to come in early and stay late, you get extra instructional time.
I'll say too, that's a long walk to be sitting there, but really the classes are designed to where it's like the teacher will demonstrate something for maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then the students do the work for 10 or 15 minutes. They practice for 10 or 15 minutes. And it really just flip-flops like that for a while, and then there'll be a longer sort of an in-class project where students work together for an hour. So it's not just listening to somebody to talk for 4 hours. That would not be a great model. Except unless it was me, because I'm pretty entertaining.
Are the students working on their own laptops or are they, okay, laptops?
Yeah, you have to have your own laptop. You have to have certain, software in order to participate, of course. But yeah, you have to have your own.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
I require to have like a MacBook or is any laptop?
Oh no, you can have a Windows machine, absolutely. Do we allow people to use Linux? I don't even know.
I've never had anybody try to use Linux. Usually if they're a Linux user, they probably don't need us.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yes, sir.
When it comes to the portfolio project, is it individual or is it a group basis?
Great question. So the vast majority are group projects. We really try to foster, again, collaborative learning. We put you into groups. The very first project, you're going to be assigned a group. We kind of want to mix it up, make sure that you're not kind of, we try to identify stronger and newer students and try to put them together so that they can, all be successful. And then the second and third group, we tend to let you pick your own groups. In very limited circumstances, under special cases, I think we allow students to do an individual project, but we really, really try to discourage that. Again, we want you to work together, and I mean, share the load, right? Why do you want to do it all yourself when you can, get other people involved who have different skill sets and can make your project really awesome? So.
Yeah, and also, when in group project, does a team come up with the idea, or do they get some sort of blueprint? Say, hey, we want to do this certain kind of project. The rest of it, you have to go put it together.
Yeah, you get to pick your own project, right? You certainly have to get it passed by the instructor. Like, this is a good idea. You should definitely do this. I would stay away from that one. But yeah, you get to pick your own project.
Or does the instructor have something like a recommendation?
Yeah, you can definitely get a recommendation too, for sure. Yeah, if you're like stuck, I have no idea what I want to do. It's funny. I see a lot of similar projects. Students love to make music apps. They love to create apps that help you pick songs. Or I see, and this is an interesting one too, because I didn't think it would, but almost every class someone tries to pick a what do I make for dinner app, or website. Like I don't know what to make the dinner, so you punch in all the ingredients you have in your refrigerator, and then it gives you a recipe of something awesome that you can make. Almost every single class someone creates something like that. And then I see really amazing stuff too. They're bringing in their outside experiences into creating something. There was a gentleman who works for, I want to say, the oil and gas industry, and there are a lot of remote workers who go to these drill sites, right? And he created an app with his team that like geo-tracks, because I guess there's a lot of people who claim that they're working at a site but don't actually are not actually there. So he created with his team an app that tracks them and then allows them to input the data from the drill site into the app. Apparently they're still using they're basically inputting that data in Excel spreadsheets and stuff. They're still pretty old school. So he created this amazing app that you can have on your phone that kind of lets the company know that you're actually at the site, but also lets you input the data, the information from the drill site into the app and then upload it to the cloud right there. You don't have to go back to a computer and pull up a spreadsheet. It was super cool, and it looked really good too. So yeah, that's what I said earlier. I really love to see where your creative minds go in this realm. People are creating all kinds of really interesting, cool stuff. So
yeah, this career placement. Do they help students? let's say, what if they decide to go along by themselves? Let's say that's a freelancer. They offer the assistance as well.
Yeah, so,
Like there's some kind of like a there's a bunch of excuse me.
yeah, okay. So, your question was around, do we help people who want to be freelancers? Yes, absolutely. That's where the individualized work comes in. So we ask you, what do you want? What is your goal? And we have a lot of people who say, I don't want to be sitting at a desk in an office, working for one particular company all the time. I want to be working on smaller contracts. I want to do freelance work, and we can help you. You've got to go find the contracts, but we can help you be competitive to be the person who gets selected for those contracts. Do you have a question?
Yes. What is the total cost of the program?
Yeah, so we had a slide that had that. Is it okay if I just?
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump back. It was early on. Here it is. So 11,500 for part-time, and then 11,995 for full-time. And then if you fill out the form tonight, you can get a $500 scholarship for either of those programs.
Are there any other costs involved besides the laptop?
No, because parking is free. Yeah, there's
No
there's
textbooks.
No
Parking,
textbooks.
I don't
yeah.
want to misquote. Parking is mostly free.
Oh.
Like it's mostly free. Every once in a while, there's a disruption at UT. UT has a lot of stuff going on. There's some kind of graduation. There's a football game, right? Something's going on, and every once in a while, UT has to ask us to go to park in a parking garage at UT, and that does cost some money. So yes, occasionally there are a few parking tickets here and there. I don't want to misrepresent that, but the vast majority of your time will be parking for free at UT, which super bonus.
And career services is part of tuition. You'll never get charged for resume writing or career coaching or anything like that.
What happens if you don't do real well?
Sean will help you.
Well, what do you mean? Define that for me. What do you mean not
Well, I
really?
mean, like if you can't get to that certificate completion, need a little more time, or is there any guarantees or warranties or
Well,
paybacks, or you're a loser, sorry, get out of here.
yeah.
Give us the 11 grand, see you later.
Yeah, if you aren't able to complete the boot camp, we don't give refunds. If you didn't, are having trouble, or in some cases you just didn't put the work in, depending on the student. There's a lot of variation in why somebody doesn't complete the program. We tend not to give refunds. I will say that you have a drop period, just like a class at UT, except it's a little bit shorter. You get a week, basically the first week, to see if it feels like the right fit to you. And if you decide it's not, you can drop within the first week and get a full refund. But after that, yeah, it would be an extreme case to get a refund.
And also,
Would it be a screening assessment test?
Yeah, we actually give an assessment test to check you out a little bit, to see where your skills are before we admit you to the program.
Yeah, like say, hey, how well I probably would turn out.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that your assessment, the test that we give you, is gonna determine how well or you're gonna do in the program, but it definitely gives us an idea of where you are at, your skill level is at, for sure.
Okay.
And if you,
what's the test like? It would be just more like basic coding.
yeah, it's really basic, yeah, for sure, yeah. Yes?
what is the acceptance percentage, and what is the graduation percentage as well?
That's a great question. I don't know what the acceptance percentage is, actually. I would say it's pretty high, though.
Yeah, it is. But then graduation percentage is.
Yeah, I don't have that exact number. I would say we just graduated a cohort, and I would say that, I would say that 85% graduated.
That's the number I hear kind of across the board. Sean's not giving himself enough credit. When somebody is struggling, Sean really steps in to help to make sure you're working with tutors. Can you come to office hours? Pointing the TA your direction. We don't just see somebody say, oh, that person hasn't turned in the last 3 homework assignments, and too bad. Sean's gonna jump in and really figure out how to help you. Because, if you came and said you wanted to do this, if you're still putting in the work, we're really gonna try to find a way to help you find that success.
That's part of the support, right? We have expectations. UT has expectations, right? They're not backing our certificate with their name and their brand because we are not a challenging program. We are a challenging program, and they have certain expectations, and we have certain expectations, right? Having said that, we are human beings who have feelings and care about you and want you to be successful. And there are circumstances when, yes, I will allow a student to turn things in late, or there are things that we can work with you on depending on the circumstance, right? Did you just decide not to do 3 homeworks in a row? Well, I'm sorry, I can't help you. But you had, your car broke down, you couldn't get to class for 2 days. Am I gonna work with you? Yeah, absolutely. Am I gonna try to help you? We're not. We want you to be successful. Every single person in this program wants you to be successful, and we're gonna work with you as much as we can, if that makes sense. I can't say exactly where that line is because every person's different, every situation is different. But we're gonna try to help you. We want you to graduate. We want everyone to graduate.
If you have a little aptitude and desire, you'll graduate.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
A question about the group projects. How does it work in the online model?
How does the projects work in the online model? It's basically the same as the in-class model, except the collaboration that you do is remote, right? The presentation that you do is obviously remote. You're not going to be standing in front of a class presenting your project to your classmates. You're going to be doing it via the remote. But the collaboration, most of it's the same. It's just that you have to know yourself really well in order to be successful in the online model. How driven and motivated are you to get your work done without going to a class and having an instructor going, "Why is your homework late?" You have to. Why didn't you do your stuff last night? I have Netflix. There's a show I want to see. You have to know yourself really well. I would say the online model requires a lot of self-control, right? If you have a lot of self-control and that model fits you, and you have difficulty getting to class, then I think it's a great program. But you definitely have to be able to, be able to check out of all of the wonderful things on the internet and focus on your work, right? More so than even in class, because in class, you get Bob, and who can stare at Netflix when Bob's talking?
Well, I think we need to actually wrap up the program, everyone. So I do thank you all for coming, and I'd like to just wrap this up with a round of applause for Trilogy Education. Thank you for this event. We hope to see you at future meetups. But we still have the room for some time, so please hang out and work with Trilogy and fellow attendees, and we have more pizza if you want.
Like the slide.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, how you doing? Sean, pleasure. Nice to meet you.
Right here.
Yeah, we're always hiring instructors. You should go to trilogyed.com, and we have, I was looking at our.
I'm also doing a master's from Georgia.
Cool.
So I just wanted to know what the process is.
I don't hire instructors. But I know we hire all the time, and we're always looking for good people. So I would say go to our site right now. I guarantee you we're gonna have some positions that you should apply to.
Technology services.
Trilogy Education Services. Trilogy Education Services. Absolutely, yeah. So my name is Sean Fleming. It's LinkedIn and oh, actually S-E-A-N.
Oh, Sean.
S-E-A-N and Fleming F-L-E-M-I-N-G. And then the slash at the end is just Sean Fleming /ATM.
Honestly, you can split it out. There's an initial deposit and then you can split it. We have a finance team.
Yeah. It was nice to meet you. Yeah, please apply. We're always looking for good people.
Also, my wife is here.
Cool.
She has a CS degree. We are from Bangladesh. And I recently moved from New York. I was in New York
Oh,
for
yeah.
9 years.
Wow.
So I just got a job at IBM, so I just moved.
I lived in New York for a year. Yeah, it was a good year, but I had to come back home.
It's good for visiting.
Yeah.
It's a cool program. I was looking boot camps and trying to get myself as well into that role of keeping up to date.
Yeah.
Because teaching is the best way to keep yourself up.
Totally. Yeah, it's just awesome working with students and teaching stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah, please apply.
I don't think they have, scheduled that far, but historically,
money we